Ba-da, ba-da, ba-da. Dun, dun. It's a raccoon with a talk show slinging culture facts you might not know. From the biggest flops to the greatest hits, this is Trash Can Tidbits.
Hey there, Fuzzbuds! I'm Beaton, your raccoon with a talk show, and welcome back to some more fun weekly Trash Can Tidbits. Last week, I asked the question, exactly how many companies provided product placement for the movie Hop? The answer is 92. Because of this high number, the movie earned a record for the most product placement. They probably had no trouble paying for the movie's budget either, that's for sure. Now with that out of the way, let's get started with fact number 1. Did you know that the actors who originated the role of Old Deuteronomy in the London and Broadway casts of Cats went on to play Disney villains? In the original London cast, the leader of the Jellicle Cats was played by Brian Blessed, who would go on to play the evil big game hunter Clayton in Tarzan. And the Broadway production originally opened with Ken Page, who would go on to play Oogie Boogie in The Nightmare Before Christmas. Furthermore, Judi Dench, who played Old Deuteronomy in the Cats movie, had already played the cow Mrs. Calloway in Disney's Home on the Range, but obviously, she wasn't a villain. Fact 2. Did you know that Inspector Clouseau wasn't going to be the star of the Pink Panther at first? The initial plan for the first film was to have David Niven's character of Sir Charles Lytton, the jewel thief known as the Phantom, as the main character. Niven was in fact listed in the opening credits first, and Clouseau was going to be slightly more serious. It wasn't until Peter Sellers was cast as Clouseau that the character was rewritten to be more slapstick and physical, based on Sellers and director Blake Edwards' love for physical comedy from the likes of Laurel and Hardy. The decision paid off, and Clouseau eventually became the main character for the rest of the franchise. Fact 3. Sticking with Inspector Clouseau for this next fact, did you also know that the second film in the Pink Panther series, A Shot in the Dark, didn't start out as a sequel? The story started out as a French play whose English adaptation was a mystery about a murder at a country estate, and it was also not a comedy. Peter Sellers was contracted to star in this version, but he didn't want to do it, unless Blake Edwards directed it. Edwards also refused at first, but then he suggested that the only way he could make it was to make the detective character Clouseau, and the screenplay was written as such. This film also introduced characters that became part of the Pink Panther series, such as Clouseau's boss, Chief Inspector Charles Dreyfus, as well as Clouseau's Asian servant, Kato Fong. Fact 4. Did you know that a former James Bond director got to direct 2 films where the main character spends most of their time talking to the camera? Director Lewis Gilbert, who directed 3 Bond films, You Only Live Twice, The Spy Who Loved Me, and Moonraker, also directed the films Alfie and Shirley Valentine. Alfie, which starred a young Sir Michael Caine, was about a freewheeling Cockney womanizer, and Shirley Valentine featured actress Pauline Collins as a middle-aged woman going on an adventure in Greece. Both films also featured the title characters looking into the camera and breaking the fourth wall, voicing their thoughts directly to the audience. Fact 5. Did you know that in addition to Jeff Conaway giving most of his songs to John Travolta in the film Grease, it was during the making of the film that he actually became an addict? During the filming of the Grease Lightning number, Conaway was accidentally dropped on his back, which caused an injury, and he had to be prescribed a pain medication. It didn't become long until he became a full-on addict. He died of a drug overdose in 2011 at the age of 60. Fact 6. Did you know that the creator of 2.5 Men and The Big Bang Theory wrote the theme song to the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? Chuck Lorre was an up-and-coming writer at the time the original series went into production, and he in fact wrote the theme song to the show. In fact, he also provided the speaking voices for the Turtles during the song. Various lines including, "We're really hip," and "He's a radical rat," were spoken by him. Fact 7. Did you know that Scottish actor Billy Connolly is the only actor to die in a Muppet movie? Connolly played the drunken pirate Billy Bones in Muppet Treasure Island, and his character dies of a heart attack towards the beginning of the movie. Rizzo the Rat breaks the fourth wall and makes the observation, "He died? And this is supposed to be a kid's movie!" To this day, Billy Connolly takes great pride in being the first and only actor thus far whose character dies on screen in a Muppet movie. Fact 8. Did you know that the line reading, "I'm the Juggernaut, bitch!" from X-Men 3 The Last Stand was taken from a fan dub of an episode of X-Men the Animated Series. An episode of the series was dubbed over by a YouTube user and contained lots of profanity, including the repeated use of the word bitch. The character of the Juggernaut became an internet meme after the release of that clip. Apparently, the producers of the X-Men films saw that clip and used the line, "I'm the Juggernaut, bitch!" during the character's fight scene with Kitty Pryde. Vinnie Jones, who played the Juggernaut, really sold the line in my opinion, even if the film itself is very forgettable. Fact 9. Did you know that the velociraptors as seen in Jurassic Park were thought not to have existed in real life at the time the movie was being filmed? Steven Spielberg wanted the raptors to be at least 10 feet high, which was much higher than they were known to be. The biggest raptor thought to have existed was at least 4 feet high. But during filming, paleontologists actually did discover a breed of raptor that was 10 feet high, making Spielberg's vision come true. These species of raptors were ultimately dubbed Utah raptors, named for the state they were discovered in. Fact 10. Sticking with Jurassic Park for this final fact, did you also know that the outdoor locations were filmed on the Hawaiian island of Kauai, and that the beginnings of a hurricane were seen in the film? A major part of the story takes place when a storm is encountered on the island, and a real one hit the island, Hurricane Iniki. Some of the storm actually shows up in the film, but the cast and crew ultimately waited it out in the hotel ballroom. Sir Richard Attenborough, who played John Hammond on the other hand, slept in his room through the whole thing. When Spielberg asked him how, Attenborough replied, "My dear boy, I survived the Blitz." And here's this week's trivia question. The Quentin Tarantino film Django Unchained was actually inspired by an Italian spaghetti western called Django, a 1966 film that was set to truly kick off the Italian western boom, despite a fistful of dollars a few years earlier. Not many people know today, though, that both the original Django and Django Unchained had a lead character that took his namesake from a jazz pioneering guitarist. My question to you is, which jazz guitarist served as the inspiration for the title character of Django? And there we go for this week. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and of course, stay tuned for more. And please don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and ring the bell for future videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.